Hello, I'm Dr. Mazumdar from Arogyam Hair Transplant Clinic. So in this series on hair transplant, today we are going to discuss about the density of grafts in hair transplant. So what density should we give? What is the ideal density? Which density gives the best results? So these are the different topics that we will discuss this under, and so this will be an introduction to a very important topic. So what is density in hair transplant? Density means the number of grafts per square centimeter, the grouping of grafts, whether we place them very close together or we place them further apart. So in hair transplant, we define it as grafts per square centimeter. Not follicles but grafts. How many grafts we include in 1 square centimeter of the scalp. So here it is very important to note the difference between grafts and follicles. So a graft, as we know, as I've discussed in my earlier videos, a graft can contain 1, 2, 3 or 4, even up to 5 or 6 follicles. A follicle is a single hair, but a graft consists of a cluster of hairs. So when we talk about density, we should always talk about it in terms of grafts per square centimeter, not in terms of follicles. And at Arogyam, we always discuss density in grafts, not follicles. So the ideal density of grafts per square centimeter is 35. 35 grafts per square centimeter. That is considered to be the ideal density. So we can plant at a higher density also. We can give up to 50 or even 60 grafts per square centimeter. But the problem is that the survival rate goes down. If we plant above 35 grafts square centimeter, if we plant at say up to 40 is okay, but beyond that, we find that the survival comes down. So that even if we have planted at 50 grafts per square centimeter, ultimately we find that the actual density has reduced to maybe 30 or 25 grafts per square centimeter. And below 35 also, we do not achieve that look of the scalp being covered with hair. So we do not want to have too low a density nor too high a density. So there have been several studies and it has been quite conclusively shown that 35 grafts per square centimeter is the best density. So the question then arises that if we plant at 35 grafts per square centimeter, how can we achieve a even higher density? So in a normal scalp, in a young boy's scalp, the density might be 50, 60 or even up to 70 grafts per square centimeter. So generally most people will be satisfied with 35 grafts per square centimeter. It provides a good coverage. But if somebody wants a higher than that, a density which is higher than 35, then we plan for a second sitting. Okay, in a second sitting we can put some grafts in between the previous grafts. So after say 4 months or preferably after 6 months, we have a small second sitting where we do not need to go for a large number of grafts, just a small number of grafts, maybe 500 or 800, which we plant between the previous grafts. And that gives us a density of whatever we choose. We can go up to 50, 60, even up to 70. Another important point to remember is that density should be variable. We do not need to go for the same density all over the scalp. So if we are planning to have a hair transplant with slightly smaller number of grafts, then what we do is we put a high number of grafts in this area. This area is called the forelock area. So this is the area where the high density has the best results. So a sort of triangle like this from this point and extending this way. So here we plant with the highest density, and then towards the sides a little lesser density also will be sufficient. So in that way we can achieve a very good look with a lesser number of grafts. So how to maintain the exact density? At Arogyam we always plan for 35 grafts per square centimeter in the first sitting. If the patient wants a slightly higher density, we go for up to 40 grafts per square centimeter. But I never like to go beyond that. If somebody wants a higher density than that, I advise for a second sitting. So to achieve say 35 grafts, how can we ensure that we are getting the right number of grafts? It is not possible manually, not possible for any person to manually be exactly accurate in determining the density. He will either exceed or he will have a lower density. So to maintain that, at Arogyam we use density stamps. So density stamps, so you will see in this picture that we already have a fixed density in a stamp that we make, and this we put on the scalp, and in that way we can achieve the exact density that we are aiming for. So this is very helpful to get a highly accurate and scientific density of grafts. So if you have any inquiries about density, if you have any problems about your hair, if you are planning for hair transplant, you can come to Arogyam. So I am there. You can consult me, fix an appointment, and we can discuss about all these issues. So you'll find the phone number below. You can just call and fix an appointment.